Hello, thank you so much. My name is Lulu. Lune. I am an associate artist with Novelties Theater, and I am joined by Dulce. Dulce, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Dulce D'Jour. I'm a burlesque performer and flow artist based out of Olympia, Washington.
Thank you. So we just saw a beautiful act from you inspired by the Phantom of the Opera. And I have to say, personally, I was very excited to see that act. The Phantom of the Opera was the first show I ever saw on Broadway when I was a wee little one, and it actually inspired my acting and performance career. So thank you very much. Why did you choose this book? What about the book drew you to it?
I'm going to be honest, I kind of worked backwards with the thought of doing something with silk. I wanted to do something mysterious, something where I was able to hide, reveal myself, conceal myself, all those burlesque things. And the Phantom just kind of came to mind. And then like you, I've always loved that musical, the Broadway musical. And so I initially, when I planned this act, drew from the music of that. And then from the musical, I kind of worked backwards, and I kept exploring the lore of the Phantom, because the Phantom is so many things. He's in so many different types of media, right? So he has musicals all over the world. He has, silent movies and movies with sound, and of course he has a book that he came from. So I think the character and the mystique around the Phantom is what drew me to it.
Lovely. He is a very mysterious character. I don't know. I mean, as much as I get like why Christine didn't want to go with the man who was hiding in her mirror, like a part of me was always like, but girl, have you heard him sing? How did you approach transitioning, I guess, the musical and the book into a performance piece?
As an audience member, the worst thing ever is to see someone try to convey a character and you're thinking to yourself the whole time, I hope they do this, or they better do this. So for me, I wanted to take the raw essence of what the Phantom represents, who he is as a person, and kind of whittle it down to 3 minutes, and what I could do with silk. So one of the things that is from the text is his use of like ropes and nooses to kill people. So I might be integrating that somehow. You'll have to see how I use silk to potentially murder a victim. He also is constantly, as I mentioned before, concealing himself. He is hiding, and so I try to use my props to kind of, again, hide myself, conceal myself, and then seductively reveal myself.
Lovely. And as artists, especially doing pieces that are inspired, we're always trying to amplify or, bring out our favorite parts of the piece that we're inspired by. So how do you think the piece you've made amplifies themes in the work?
It's tricky because, as I mentioned before, this character is in so many different types of mediums, and the Broadway play in particular is so iconic. So for example, when you think of the Phantom of the Opera, you think of black, white, and red with the rose, but the book, the rose isn't really mentioned. There's a ring instead. So I was trying to kind of focus on what, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Of course.
What's going on?
How do you think the piece you've made amplifies themes in the work? Or
Yes.
I guess the overall theme of the work.
So what I was trying to say is that the Phantom is in so many mediums, and what I was trying to do with the 3 minutes that I have is not go in the theatrical direction. I was really trying to bring it back to the book. The book to me was a little darker. It's not like Broadway or anything like that. So although I did incorporate red, I tried to tone it down. If I was doing something from the musical, for instance, I would have incorporated a rose, either some flower petals or a rose hidden on my person, but that did not make sense for this. The music that I chose is also a darker piece, so I was really trying to go for like doom and gloom and like just moody, atmospheric, that sort of a thing.
It really, when I was watching your piece, it reminded me a lot of the Masquerade in the show. Like when he comes down and he's this very like imposing but still like striking and alluring figure. Like that was the presence I felt like you really brought to the stage.
Yes. Yes.
How would the character, so the Phantom, how would the Phantom respond to your interpretation?
I would think that the Phantom would like my interpretation. I would hope. I try really hard for you. Like his whole thing is that he wants to be loved. He wants people to see him in a certain way. He wants to be vulnerable, but people are so terrified of the way that he looks that he can only be so open with individuals. And so what I think is kind of cool about a burlesque interpretation of his character is I'm able to show all of myself. So I think he'd like that. He could live vicariously through me.
You know, I think a lot of us want to live vicariously through you. And then just to wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this act or anything?
I will say this act, Carson mentioned in her interview, it's a work that's constantly evolving, and this is a piece that I continually come back to. I really appreciate being invited here to really take time to explore this facet of the Phantom, because it isn't something that I really looked at before, so it's so cool. Yeah, I've done this piece in so many different ways. If you happen to catch a live version of this, it's probably going to look different, so that's the beauty of art.
Fabulous. Well, we'll say thank you so much, not only for a lovely performance, but a fabulous interview. Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Thanks for watching Ekphrasis, a production of Novelties Theater. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to make a tax-deductible donation through the link in the video description. And don't forget to like and subscribe below so you don't miss our next episode, featuring Scarlett O'Hare and an exploration of the wicked and the divine.